Welcome to Over the Back Fence. I'm Di Edwards.
I'm Nicola Dale, and we're buddies of nearly 4 decades. And yes, we actually do happen to share a back fence.
We do. We love parties, people, inspirational stories, and honestly, making the most out of life.
So join us as we open our hearts, share our stories, and hear from some of the most inspirational people in the world, and have a laugh along the way.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Welcome back, fences.
Welcome back.
That's our new line. What do you think? Welcome back, fences.
Hey, welcome back, fences.
Welcome back, fences. It's an interesting little ring, that one.
I like that one. Welcome back, fences. I'm Nicola.
And I'm Daddy Doo-Doo.
And yeah, we're here for another episode.
We sure are.
And we're excited because we've got a fabulous guest. But just in the interim, we've got something to say for the people who've been listening. And it's so wonderful getting this great feedback. But we've also had some feedback that we talk over one another.
You see,
apologies.
And the issue is that I think when you're either in a current affairs situation or even a morning show situation, you know, they're structured, trained, honestly, journalists, and there's a certain way that they operate. Yeah. Where with you and I, we're friends, and we've got a microphone in front of us. So when we go out, I've observed we both go, ready, 1, 2, 3. And you know what? On the weekend, I was on a boat with a few girls, and I thought, I'm going to listen to this, and everyone was talking at once. And I thought, it's a girlfriend thing, because she's so excited to see each other.
I think that's
that
it.
You go, how do we do it?
Yep.
And then I was talking to someone this morning that stopped me in the street and said, oh, look, I'm really enjoying the podcast. And I went, really? Have you heard us talk over each other? And she goes, not really. But look, she was an editor.
Yes,
and she said to me, if that happens again, you take a deep breath. And I'm laughing my head off because I'm imagining like you talk, pretend you're talking, go, hello, yeah.
Oh, hello.
That's my breath. And yes, Nicola, that's right. Then you take a breath. And I go, okay, hello.
Di.
And I'm just thinking how all that worked, doing the breath. But look, we're only early days.
Exactly.
And it'll all bed down.
Early days, having fun.
Yeah.
So
and we're having some good laughs.
Apologies,
you know?
but it's funny.
Yeah.
That's what we do. So it's sort of like lessons learned. But,
we do. And we can't. Look, we'll certainly try to be aware around it, but I think we're just so enthusiastic and so excited to be here in this environment and sharing our joy for life. And that was obviously what prompted us to do the podcast.
Exactly. And I'll tell you what, we came here in the car and we've actually got our VIP guest who joined us in the car. And I just think that was non-stop talking here.
And she happened to know my brother-in-law, Mark Hunter from Dragon. Wow, that was very exciting, chatting about that. Yes. And many a friend from back in those days.
You're talking back 70s, 80s stuff, you know, when it was just sort of like...
Showing my age. Yeah. Like, seriously. Yeah. Great to be back.
It's absolutely great to be back. And I tell you what, we're absolutely thrilled to have Australia's music and entertainment royalty, Lizzi Morrissey, join us at our back fence singing woohoo. Well, a little bit about Lizzi. A daughter of Maltese immigrants, Lizzi started out a dancer, a former Miss Australian Beauty Queen contestant, then in the late 70s entered the world of the music industry, working alongside the late Michael Gudinski and artists such as Paul Kelly, Split Enz, Jimmy Barnes, Joe Cocker, just to name a few. Lizzi, who studied acting herself and performed in theatre and musicals, her career took another turn when she met her now long married husband, highly regarded talent agent Mark Morrissey. Lizzi then nurtured the careers of people such as the Hemsworth, Jamie Drury, and the late Belinda Emmett and Osher. Lizzi is a respected and visionary collaborator, organising events such as Keith Urban supporting the people of East Timor, and has walked 21 days along the Great Wall of China with Olivia Newton-John raising money for cancer. And so it goes on. Lizzi now runs her own elite and successful management company, MissusM Creative, and it's certainly in big demand. Lizzi is a wife, a proud mum of 2 beautiful daughters, lives between Byron and Sydney, and I'm honoured to call her a friend. So we're thrilled to welcome the very cool and kind Lizzi Morrissey to the back fence.
Oh, thank you. Wow, God, so funny.
I know we
listening
do
about
long
yourself.
intros, but you know
But
what?
it warrants
it's important because you've covered such a huge scope.
Well, can I just start with saying I'm going to apologise to your listeners because I'm guilty of talking over people as well. So with the three of us, this is going to be interesting.
Thank you, Liz. Coming from you, I will take that one on board. Let me tell you.
Join the club.
Seriously. Let's all do it together. 1, 2, 3.
And you know, I was
They've switched off by now.
Okay, Lizzie, I think we're going to have to start with, there's just no way I'm going to start anywhere else, but tell me about working in the music industry in the 80s. I mean, my eyes water at the thought of working in the music industry in the 80s. Oh, so different to today.
It is different to today, and I think all of us, and I've since met up with people because of so many memorials that we've actually been to lately of these incredible giants of our industry, that we're also humbled to have been part of the 80s, in the music industry. It was, it wasn't a highly paid jobs that any of us had. We just loved it. And we'd jump out of bed, it wasn't anything like, another day of work. It was really honestly what we absolutely loved. And you wouldn't survive if you didn't love it. Because the hours were just crazy. You woke up and you went to the office, you did your meetings, you ran around, and then you went to gigs at night, and then fell asleep and woke up and off you went again.
3 hours.
Yeah, exactly. 3
Woke
hours.
Up,
I actually
who did you wake up next to?
You know what? I didn't start drinking till I was about 25, so I missed that whole. I was not one of those.
Dedicated.
No, it was all about the music for me. But saying that, I used to wake up because I loved my yoga and I was a little bit of a wellness freak. So I would actually have these incredibly long nights, putting everybody else to bed because they had, an early morning shoot or an early morning TV appearance or whatever. So I'd stay up with them after a gig, put them to bed, and then I'd take myself to bed, and then 2 or 3 hours later I'd wake up for my 6 a.m. yoga class, in which case, at the end of it we'd sort of, lie down to have our little rest, and I'd just warn the person next to me and say, can you just give me a nudge in case I fall asleep? And of course I used to fall asleep every single time. It was like, I'm out.
I think Lizzie was the original hippie.
Yeah,
don't you think so? Like a bit of the wild
Well,
child.
she was yogi back then.
Yeah, was it really sex, drugs and rock and roll back then?
It was. Well, I certainly was witness to it and around it, but I picked up.
You had to put them to bed, so you had to be responsible.
Yeah. It grew on me. I learnt the way.
What sort of
eventually?
Who are some of the more interesting bands that you've worked with in the 80s?
Oh gosh.
Put to bed.
Richard Clapton for sure.
Yeah.
He's still going too, isn't he?
He's still
Amazing.
going. I mean, those guys who just are true songwriters for a start. So they've got so much life in them. They're poets, so they're always looking for, the next inspiration. And I think that's what kept the longevity going with them all. And they grow with their audience. They grow with their fans. And so, there's always an element of energy about them because that's what they're doing. That's what they're about. So I think people like that, any songwriters who, Jimmy Barnes, James Reyne, all those guys are incredible.
Yeah. What about Skyhooks?
I didn't really have a lot to do with Skyhooks, actually.
I was a Melbourne girl, and I had the biggest crush. She was my first crush ever.
Really?
Was Shirley Strawn.
Wow.
I had a poster of him, and I used to pretend I could kiss him.
I did that with David Essex. David Essex was mine. Do you remember David Essex?
Yes, I do.
Oh, yes, yeah. Oh, he was good looking.
Funny?
But I have to say, now, Lizzie, I remember you telling me a story from school days. I think you were a born entrepreneur. Now, tell us what happened when you organised some fundraising charity, and you were only a kid at high school, really.
Hang on, the fundraiser or the school event or the...
I think when you organised the band and,
Well, there's two. So the first one was I somehow convinced my principal at the school, and I think I was 15 at high school, that, if you want to stop all the kids from going down to the creek to have a spliff or take their wine or their flag and
Where are we in the world?
Fairfield.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, Fairfield Girls High School.
Yeah.
I just went in and I said, look, I've got an idea. And they, okay, yeah, we're all ears. What is it? And I said, well, if you allow me to book bands for lunchtime concerts, it'll get everyone in the hall. And then we can also actually invite the boys' school because we weren't co-ed.
That was the
boys'
intention.
school, of course. And then there was the girls' school.
Incredible.
So, and I remember the first band was a band called Black Feather, whose young guitarist was Stuart Fraser, the late Stuart Fraser, who played with Noiseworks and John Farnham's band. And he was 15 as well. And he came out and he had a tutu on. And he looked at me and he said, "Are you the organiser?" And I went, "Yeah." He said, "How old are you?" And I said, 15. He went, "Oh, so am I."
Oh, that's
Isn't that
incredible.
And we just followed each other's career pretty much throughout our lives until, he passed away, I think 3 or 4 years ago. I'm not sure now. But yeah, that was one, and it was great. The fundraiser was
Fun without the D. I love that. Fundraiser.
The fundraiser.
Yeah.
Fundraiser was for Miss Australia, because a lot of the component of Miss Australia back then was raising funds for a charity.
Because you were selected as a,
I was scouted.
Scouted, that's
I
right.
was scouted. And I loved it. So it was actually where I first got my thirst for, putting on events. And we had a Hawaiian night at home, which Mum loved entertaining, so it was perfect. And we had a games night, and we had a fashion parade in the fanciest restaurant that was there at the time in Fairfield. And then I had this great idea because I was like getting so excited. We're doing so well after these 3 events. So I said, I can just put on a gig, like a really awesome gig. I've done it before at school. So one of the biggest bands at the time was Kevin Borich Express.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So I found out who their agent was, went to Sam Riggy and Robbie Williams from the Harbour Agency, who were in North Sydney in the Mann building. Anyway, long story, I just talked them into allowing me to book the band. They said, "Are you sure you can get, the people? You've got to pay the band. They're expensive." And I said, yeah. The Leppington Inn, which is out Whoop Whoop, is allowing me to have the place on their Sunday, their quietest night. But, I was absolutely going to... But absolutely, I was going to fill it, right? So, and they allowed me, they said, "You take the sales, the door sales, we'll take the bar sales." So the night came.
What am I laughing?
No one.
Stop.
No one.
Oh, no.
So, but Kevin Borich, and at that time, as all good agents would do, if you want Kevin Borich, then you have to take this other band that I'm trying to build up and, sell. And I said, "That's fine. Who is that?" And he said, "Paul Kelly and the Dots."
How's that?
What? And
So
you're going,
Paul-
who?
No
one
I went
turned
for
up.
it. I was like, "Yep,
So
okay."
hold on. So he was the before
That was
Kevin
the extra.
Borich. Come off it.
This is
And
a
no one
long
turned-
time
Don't
ago.
they all
It's the
regret it
best
now?
story.
So then they
So there's you and a few
agreed.
people.
I said, "What do you want to do?" And they said, "Well, are you paying for this?" And I said, "Yep." And they said, "All right, we'll play." So Paul Kelly and the Dots
So you had
and
your own
Kevin
private
Borich
concert.
played to me and my 5 friends.
Oh, I love that. That's
And tell the
cool.
lesson what happened with that too. With
Which I
paying
think
for
is
it.
actually the better story.
Big
No.
lesson.
Big lesson.
Yeah.
In that, of course, Sam and Robbie called me up and was like, "What happened? I thought you said you had people coming." And I said, "I don't know. I thought I did." And, I was so young. And they said, "All right, well, you still have to pay the band." And I went, "Yeah, okay. Well, yep, absolutely." So I'd go and work in Woolies, Cabramatta, in the deli department, earn, I think, $20 a week or whatever it was. And every Friday afternoon I'd get the bus and the train to North Sydney and sit there at the end of their day and pay $20, and they'd take it, and we'd always have a little chat. And then
Did
I'd
they
go,
know what you were doing to earn that?
"Oh,
and where
yeah,
you
And
did
you
it?
were a school kid.
Yeah,
I love
yeah,
this.
I was a school
This
kid.
is cool.
Yep.
And then I'd
People should listen.
do it again, turn around the next next
Wow.
week and do it again. And then I think they only let me do it for
Are you
about
still
6
paying
weeks.
it? Oh, I thought you might have been still paying it.
Yeah, I would be.
I
I actually wish I could remember how much they were.
Yeah, I wanted to know.
I have it somewhere.
Yeah,
That's
because-
But
amazing.
yeah, and then they just said, "You know what? Forget about it. It's
how
fine."
beautiful.
That how great that you didn't blink an eye. You just said, "Yep, I'm going to pay." So I'd go in each week, and they said at the end, I think it must have been about 6 weeks, and they said, "We want to offer you a job."
How's
Really?
that?
See,
Yeah.
it's the story of
Yeah.
life when you think you're rock bottom.
Yeah.
And, you know, you like it ignited a spark in you for you to start and organise it. And look at the consequences.
Yeah.
Well, I
It
don't
shows
think I was rock
character,
bottom.
doesn't it?
I was ambitious and probably naive.
Not wrong, but doing the bus and the train, the thing, and your $20 working the way you did.
you owed, you
good
paid
on
back.
you. And look, and so you got a job there, and then that
Got a
took
job
you-
there, so that was my first probably real job.
I think
it was
the first real job was the deli department.
yeah. No, I was a door bitch actually.
Were you? I love that.
Yeah.
Who was that
Go
for?
girl.
Was that
Got to learn a
Fairfield?
lot from
Matt,
that.
actually, well, I'm jumping now, and I can't remember the timeline of this. This is actually good for me because I'm trying to remember the timeline of everything.
The cobwebs out.
Yeah. So I was a dancer.
relate.
That's what I was training to be, a dancer. So and then I was hit by a car and pretty much broke everything. That's right. And
So
one of
someone
my
said, "Don't do that. Don't go down that road."
well, I couldn't.
Literally,
Unless I could be the dancer that I was before the accident, I wasn't going to do it. And so I chose not to do it. But when I got out of hospital, there was a local promoter in the area, Harry Della, and he said, "Do you want a job?" And I went, "Yes." And he said, "All right, well, come and," because I couldn't stand up for long. So I was his door bitch at Combe and Cutter Hotel, the Rydalmere Hotel, Sylvania. I can't remember them.
Where did you get this confidence from, Lizzie? From a young girl? Was it just from your parents, or is it your DNA?
I don't know if it was confidence. It was just,
Or courage to try?
I think it was
something?
courage. Yeah, I do think it was courage. I think it was heart courage, actually. It was.
You were into music too, so you're passionate.
Well, my
about...
dad was a drummer, and
there
so I
you-
was,
right.
I was
that
brought
was running
up.
through your veins.
Yeah. I was brought up going to bed with, the band rehearsing in our lounge room, which I loved. And I was like, "Can I come here?
Oh, that's
I'll wash
wonderful.
the dishes. Can I
Second
stay up
nature.
later?"
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it was a combination of just having a real love of something. And that's why I call it heart courage, because there's a difference between having courage with, out of a need, or courage, head courage, which is what you need to do. But this just really came from my heart. It was like something that I really wanted to do. And if I didn't have the courage to do it for myself, it won't happen. It just wouldn't happen. So that's what I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
And through one of the gigs, you met your husband, Mark, was it?
No.
How did
How
you
did
end
that
up
tell us
meeting
about
Jack?
that?
Give us the
That was a
gosh.
lifetime.
How did you meet Mark? Like, how did that come, Mark Morrissey?
So
Like,
after
how did
I
that-
had my, my first life, second life, however you want to put it.
How many
After that,
lives
didn't
have
you?
you had?
Yeah.
What does a
many.
cat have?
Yeah. So after my whole, the Harbour Agency, Mushroom Records,
Yeah.
and then I went to the States and worked with various bands, and then I was burnt out at 25 pretty much.
That's
and I was
incredible.
like, I want to do something else for me. So I came back and enrolled in the first school that was going that would, I could get into, which was the Ensemble Theatre. And I did my 3.5 years of being an actor, which was weird because I'd had this whirlwind life and everybody else there was one younger than me and straight from school, and their parents just paid for their course. So all of a sudden I was back, being a hostess at the Travel Lodge in North Sydney for lunchtime to earn money to pay for my course. It was just different, but it was something that I really wanted to do and I really enjoyed for the most part. But during one of the graduations at the ensemble, I met my husband. I was like, who's that guy?
And what was Mark doing there? What
He was an
capacity?
agent.
Oh, he was a talent agent.
He
then.
was a talent agent,
And he spotted you.
Well, we spotted each other and we spotted each other.
I
Let's say.
like that.
So do I.
Yeah.
Instant attraction.
Instant attraction.
So did your career turn then from acting and graduating, then you became part of the biz?
He brought me to the dark side.
But
Yeah. I did about 2 years of acting, I think, and then he was producing a show and I went on the road with him because we were, crazy in love. And I was like, I'm not going to go and do a show and be away for a year or 4 months.
girl.
Or
Yes.
You can't
So
beat
we
him,
just
join him.
joined them,
Yep.
joined him.
Wow.
It was
Go for
fun.
it.
So
So
great.
on tour with I don't know, was it theatre then or was
It
it
was
band?
theatre.
It was
It was
theatre.
theatre.
Okay.
It was
That'd be a bit
budget
of fun.
theatre, and he would drive a van, and I'd be in the back with the posters and the glue, jumping out and sticking the the posters on the pole.
The real McCoy.
It was the real thing. You did you did your dues, and it made you appreciate the whole, procedure of putting on a show
and the work that goes into it.
You just worked, God. You just did it, and we were together, endless. So it was fun.
How cool! It was
fun.
And then how did that develop, as in both business and you two and marriage and all of that?
Well, nothing's without, Hopelessly in Love is awesome. And then when you get to the nitty-gritty and after years of it, you start to play different roles, I suppose, So after the touring, then I quietly joined him in the office and I found a role for myself, which was mainly PR and marketing. I don't think I wouldn't call myself ever an agent. He was the agent and he had other agents. I was really there as a support to everybody and to all the clients there. So it was where I established myself as what I did in the music industry, I kind of did in the film and television industry with the talent. And a lot of agents back then didn't really do that. They didn't PR, they didn't have press releases. They didn't, encourage invites to premieres and things like that. So I kind of,
That was your forte, though.
That was my forte. So I just started that, really, and just started introducing talent and PR agencies with each other and saying, why don't we do this? Or you should be inviting them. Or let's do a red carpet for that. Or
how beautiful that complimenting each other.
They do.
It's wonderful.
Yes, yeah. So that's really was my role at Morrissey's. And then very much mentoring a lot of the younger talent that was coming through. Sometimes it's just great either to have a female there that they can, and a mama type.
Absolutely.
A carer.
Yeah.
Don't they call you Mama Lizzie?
Mama
Lizzie.
Don't
they? Mama
it's
Lizzie.
the Maltese blood, baby.
The nurturing.
The mama. And the other thing is also, I was reading about some of the big names later on with the Morrissey Management and how, you call them a family more than representing them, these particular celebrities, really, at the end of the day. But, to call them family, that says a lot about both of you as people.
Mm. Well, I think because they were that. You spent so much time, you knew so much about each other. It was a very inclusive agency.
Right.
We'd have these softball games that we always did each year, which I started way back in the music industry days. We used to do every Sunday. We'd meet at Cooper Park, and there was always a softball game with whatever artists were in town at the time.
Great way to congregate.
It was fun.
Melting pot, so to speak.
And we're all we're probably all at the same gig till 3:00, the day before, the evening before. Yeah. And so we'd turn up and, at Cooper Park, maybe a little bit hangover, maybe not. Maybe it was someone's birthday and this wonderful French chef, Laurent Gonfont, if it was someone's birthday, he'd make a birthday cake, which ended up being thrown at each other.
It was just try
fun.
And pronounce the name after with a hangover.
Yeah.
It would have been Honk has done the cake.
Laurent Gonfont.
You said that very well.
Yeah. We absolutely encouraged them to bring their families. So we got to meet, their partners and their kids. And my dad, his work was Easter because he worked for the Catholic Club. So the only day off that the club had was Good Friday. So we would have a family picnic on Good Friday that they'd invite all their employees and their children, and we'd have this incredible time. And I just remember that being such a special moment. And I think that's why I wanted to bring it to Morrissey's, because it was... Yeah, as you said, it was a community.
And what was the sort of criteria for you selecting them? Because I can only imagine it's such a competitive industry and so many people want to be an actor and just maybe just don't have the talent, or maybe it's not the luck or the look.
And letting people down.
What do you look for?
My husband had a very good eye, I have to say. He just knew how to...
Could pick a star.
A star, yeah.
Like Luke Bracey.
Do you represent Luke
Bracey?
Luke,
we used to. We have. I think he's spending more and more time in America now.
And the Hemsworth?
Yep, Chris was...
Liam, or was
Liam? No,
Liam?
definitely Chris and
Liam.
Luke we did for a long time.
Wow.
Yep, so...
Oh, well done. They've succeeded.
Yeah.
Hemsworth have just...
Biggest names.
World over now. They're massive.
And the wonderful thing I think about when you have an artist... with longevity is that, Mark started repping Chris when he was still on Home and Away.
Okay.
Yes.
And Liam wasn't doing anything. And I remember the meeting that Mark had with Liam. I think we were in Melbourne doing something, and Liam came to the hotel, and he was like so shy and awkward and just gorgeous. And I think his first job was Neighbours. Is that right? I'll have to check that.
And then also your motherhood, because you've got two beautiful children as well. Now they're daughters and they're 20s. And they're in the biz as well.
Yeah.
Piper's not anymore, but she definitely dabbled. She understands the business really well. She actually worked with Mark for a little while. She was an actress for a little while as a child. She's, I think still, I may be proven wrong, but I do believe that she's still the youngest ever nominated actor for an ACTA award.
Wow.
That's incredible.
She just didn't like the limelight and didn't like the attention.
Cool.
And your eldest, she's...
But Mia
she's...
knew what she wanted from a very early age and stuck to her guns and continued, and she's the most beautiful singer, songwriter, actor, writer. She's written her own play. She's a force.
Keep an eye out because she's about to...
She's on Stan at the moment.
We just saw the show on a bus stop driving here.
So she's on Stan and she's got another one that she's done. She spent half of last year in Tasmania doing as well.
I know, but I saw her in Rent too, and she's
Rent.
just
She was the lead in Rent.
She was actually mesmerising. So what about you're now in your 60s, Lizzie? So how is life?
How
in
funny
your,
is
I know.
that?
Hey, how fabulous
How
is that?
does that happen?
You look amazing.
I know.
Truly, you do.
You do. You haven't had any
do we
work
say?
done. You've got
Life
the
said
natural.
no,
But how do you
and
find it?
Look great.
What, being 60?
Yeah, 60s and.
I think I'm in a better place. I feel, not that I don't think I was not in ever a bad place. Well, actually, yes, no, we've all been in those places. Everyone's been in that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we can laugh at each other and ourselves more now.
It's true.
It's refreshing, isn't it?
It's freeing.
It's freeing. It is. Yeah. Okay, so age equals freedom.
Age equals freedom. That's a great one.
And laughter. You were saying in the car.
Laughter.
We can just, in fact, we're always in trouble here because we're always laughing too much.
We're singing.
But
And
how gorgeous is that?
Exactly.
But I think that's also what keeps you youthful.
Yes.
Doing what you love.
Yes.
Doing what you love, having people around you, having a great group of girlfriends, I think is
Essential.
just...
Yes.
I'll drink to that.
Yeah, I think we'll
Let's
drink
cheers.
to that one
Cheers.
too.
Cheers.
Cheers for that
Cheers.
one
Cheers.
as well.
We'll
Cheers
drink
to
to that.
girlfriends.
Cheers.
I think Jimmy Barnes told me this once, and he said, because we all know that Jimmy's done, everything that there is to do
Lots of
in a
children,
lifetime.
hasn't he?
But
beautiful
he
wife.
loves what he
stunning.
does. He absolutely loves what he does, and he told me this years ago, and I was like, yeah, that's true. I that's, if there's anything to keeping me youthful in my mind, it is that doing what I absolutely love.
And speaking
having people
of-
around me that I love.
What
and
do
that
you
love
do
me.
now that you've
Yes,
started
tell
your
us,
own
yeah.
boutique agency called?
MissusM Creative.
So tell us about that.
So Mrs. M could be Mrs. Morrissey, it could be Mrs. Magnificent.
I think it's a great name.
Mrs.
truly.
Management.
You name it.
I didn't know what I wanted to do, by the way. It was a name that I thought could evolve into whatever I evolved into, which in the beginning was really an extension of what I was doing at Morrissey's. But there was this wonderful man that walked into Morrissey Management by the name of Mark Olive, Indigenous chef, world-renowned, and he walked in after having a bit of a lull in his life and wanted representation. And he was brought in by his beautiful friend, a mutual friend, Mark Cuban, and we sat there and we talked, and I was just, I can't let you leave this building without, taking you on. He wasn't right for Morrissey Management. So hence...
But you knew he had something.
Absolutely, 100%. He was just the most... He is. God, it sounded like you were dead. Sorry, darling.
He was.
He's alive now.
He's alive now. No, we're having the best year. It's so good. So, so that was the start of it. So all of a sudden I started managing chefs. And I was like, okay, this is, same, basically. They're the rock stars of today.
It's called Why Not?
I guess what I do is I find someone like Mark that I just go, there's just something about them. and I create a career for them based on who they are. So it's like, sit down, tell me about yourself, what are you interested in? And that can be in the food industry, that can be as an actor, that can be in the music industry, that can be a writer, that can be in the wellness, industry. And that's what I do with the people that I manage. There's another section of the agency which is PR. Yeah, just compliments.
It's PR with the heart, isn't it? See,
PR with the heart.
Lizzie, you do have the biggest heart.
You do, particularly with charity.
Tell us. I mean, how was it Olivia and John?
You know what's fascinating?
Yeah,
this blew my mind. You were saying in the intro about
21 days walking
21
the
but
Great
you know
Wall
what?
of China.
But she walked with. I mean, obviously, you mentioned it was Olivia and John for cancer research, but Lizzie went with Cliff Richards. Joan Rivers, my girlfriend Helen that's listening will go mental.
We love Joan.
Jane Seymour, James Reyne, who I adore, etc., etc. They did a 21-day walk across the Great Wall of China. I mean, how
amazing.
random out there. I mean, particularly I might add Joan Rivers. What a giggle that would have been. But how to tell her? I mean, where do you start?
She arrived in heels, by the way.
Oh, of course.
Of
course she would have.
Trying to walk the walk with high heels, but she only was there for a day.
That is just
okay.
hysterical.
She was like, "No way, I'm not doing this." So she left.
It's a bit steep. Sorry,
Whereas
the heels.
someone like Cliff Richard, who was absolutely awesome,
Wow.
and we would have sing-alongs on the bus. So there were 2 buses. And we were in the naughty bus, of course. And
You never.
Layne Beachley, Kirk, just some incredible people. So I convinced Clifford to sing on the buses, so it became our thing. After
We might
each
add
walk.
Kirk from which band?
Oh, In Excess.
Thank
sorry.
you very
Yes,
much.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So we had a hoot. We definitely had a
And was
hoot.
that money
And Scott
raised-
Wolf, the beautiful actor Scott Wolf, American actor.
all handpicked by Olivia.
All handpicked.
To walk over this wall for 21 days for cancer research.
Well, it was for her
Cool.
wellness centre, the Olivia
Melbourne,
Newton-John Wellness Centre.
Brilliant.
So I was there. I have to say why I was there. So I was there for my very dear friend, Belinda Emmett. So I introduced...
You managed Belinda, didn't you?
Yeah. And she was one of my best friends, absolutely.
Beautiful soul.
And, yes. And so the connection was with Olivia and Belinda and Jane McGrath, for that matter. So the three of them, we kind of introduced them, or I introduced them to each other. So when Olivia was doing this, she said, "You have to come on behalf of Belinda." So I walked on behalf of Belinda.
That was extra special.
Yeah. So
And you wore the right shoes.
we got them. Yes, we got them sponsored, but I'm not going to say who they were because they weren't actually great. Because we slid all the
Oh,
time.
that sounds dangerous.
And Ian Thorpe, who was there as well and walked with us, they lost his luggage, so he didn't have any shoes. So he did pretty much a whole day in bare feet.
Wow.
Yeah.
From high heels to bare feet.
Some high heels.
Variety, darling.
Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast the other night about someone that was doing a charity and how they said how good they felt after doing something, whatever it was. I was 3 a.m. up.
Yeah.
And I was like, and he said, I've just been on a high for weeks.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, like, and look, it's not like I'm so good I did that. No, it's called, we are part of a big community, this earth that we live on. Yeah. You know, and it's
Absolutely.
called balance, is it not, Lizzie, at the end of the
I'm
day?
Libra
Like,
Sun, Libra Moon.
Libra
I'm
Sun,
completely
Libra.
about balance.
You are
Right.
balanced.
Everything, in my life is, just, I think
Isn't
it
that
just
beautiful?
naturally, I gravitate to that balance,
But can you make a decision?
So I can make big decisions. I can't make little decisions.
I
It's
love
like,
it. Yeah.
And
okay,
who
whatever.
makes those for you? Mark?
He gets very frustrated with that, I have to say. He'll be like, no,
You
you're
go,
gonna make
no,
a
I go,
decision.
no, you go, no,
Yeah.
I go.
It-
You
it
cook the
does
bacon,
go
you
on
cook
for a
the
little
bacon.
while.
I cook the bacon, you cook the bacon. Yeah.
And then I go, oh, well, right.
But so you're good with big decisions, and that's
good for
probably
big
the most
decision.
important.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, because I know what I want. Ultimately, I think we all do, actually.
Yeah.
And staying true to that is the difficult part.
You really dedicate, you commit yourself.
Well, commitment's a big one. You have to commit yourself.
But you found a passion, haven't you? You found that you probably
I think my passion is people, is humanity.
You're one of
I'm gonna drink
us.
to
So drink
that.
to that. Cheers
Yeah.
again. This is all
That's
about
us
cheers.
to a T.
That's like with this
Yeah.
podcast
That is us.
too. Is a passion
That's what
project.
it's all about.
And, you really are just absolutely inspiring, Lizzie, isn't she?
Unbelievable.
And you're real and you're authentic and you're a hard worker and you're humble. Now, Lizzie, we've got to ask some signature questions here. Do you want to start, Didy?
All right. The first one, if you had the opportunity, if you saw your 20-year-old self, what would you say to her? What sort of advice would you give her? So I get emotional when I ask that question.
Yeah, it's... I don't think I didn't feel like I got a lot of support because I was misunderstood as a child, creatively. And so I would say, and I do believe this was what actually kept me going through my life, is don't doubt yourself. Whatever you're doing, just keep doing because you're doing what you believe in and what's right. I think that is what I would say to myself. I'd just say just continue. And don't feel like you have to please everybody. That's a big one.
Here. Yes, that's beautiful.
Because that's exhausting.
Yeah, it's exhausting, and that's probably the one thing that's got me into trouble through my life. Wanting to please everybody, and then
we're all saying that from that generation. We are a lot as females too. We've been brought up that way as people pleasers. And I think younger generations probably like our kids aren't so much. They know the boundaries. They know to say no. But wow, that's so beautiful. Now, Lizzie, if you could share a back fence with anybody on planet Earth, who would it be and why?
Oh, wow. Well, can it be a family? Because I'm going to choose family. So there's 12 months between my brother and I, and my brother tragically passed when he was 33, and he left behind 2 young children. So I would love nothing more. And, when someone dies suddenly, there's so many things that you haven't said or wish that you had, or time spent. And I've had a lot of people die in my life, by the way. But I think this one's the most profound one for me is, and because of his children, I would love to hang over the back fence with my brother and his 2 children.
Oh, how beautiful.
Lizzie, that's so extra special.
Yeah,
it really
that would
is.
be.
I'm sure he would love that too. He really
And his
would.
children.
And his children.
And
Wow,
I'd
Lizzie,
love to ask, what's the first thing you'd say to him? What's the first
Hello,
thing?
handsome.
Oh,
because he always signed off, your handsome brother.
Oh, that's beautiful,
That's
Lizzie.
gorgeous.
Well, thank you so much for
beautiful.
joining us at our back fence.
Absolutely, Lizzie. It's
You just
pure joy.
absolute
Thank you
joy,
so much.
heartfelt.
We love you.
We really do love you. So,
Thank you so
thanks
much
for
for
listening,
having
and we'll be back here next Monday for a bit more of another episode.
Watch out, here we come again.
So what we're going to do? We're going to follow.
Yep, we're going to
can.
follow, and you're going to review, and you're
And
going
how
to
many
say,
stars? Because we like a few stars,
I
don't we?
think, this week it'll be 96. And how many do we need? Is it?
We need 5 stars.
And I say 96.
got
will
it.
do
We're
for
saying that's the
starters.
only way community
Aim
grows.
high, we say.
So if you can do that, that would be great. But thank you for
So we're
listening,
good
and thank
today.
you,
We
Lizzie.
didn't talk over each other. Well done.
Yeah, we love you.
Take care, Lizzie. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye.